Over the last few decades, the American food supply has changed dramatically. You want to know what's in your food? You've probably heard a lot about some of these things because they're really getting the attention of the news. Meat, poultry, and dairy now are laced with lots of antibiotics, with steroids and hormones. Our seafood oftentimes is contaminated with heavy metals like mercury. We've got pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides in our produce. And also now, with so many chemicals which are being used in the production of our crops, that these are being stripped of our nutrients, and so the plant can't uptake those nutrients. And so when we're consuming fruits and vegetables, we are not getting the same nutritional content that we used to, and this can be quite significant. Many crops and other foods are now being chemically manufactured and altered. Food industry is adding lots of sugars and preservatives and colorings, and all of this can have many health implications for us. So I think we're now so burdened by this bad news that we hear that we might want to just ignore it or cocoon away from it. But the fact of the matter is, that is the reality, that this is now part of our food supply. So we really do have to take action and make choices to support our health during these times that are creating some health problems for us. So now we have lots to choose from, but that does not mean that we're necessarily nourishing our bodies with what it needs for optimum health. See, we can't sustain a healthy state when our food, which is the fuel to make our bodies work right, is tainted and deficient. Nutritional deficiencies are really linked to imbalances in every system of our body, including our immune system. We're hearing a lot about immune problems these days. So, even with the enriched foods that we now have available to us, and oftentimes these are enriched because a lot of the nutrients are taken out in the processing, 90% of Americans are deficient in at least one vitamin, and oftentimes more than that. But this means that we're receiving less than actually the minimum required to prevent deficiency disease. It does not mean the level that we should be getting for optimum health. So a smart choice today is really to power up with foods that are very nutrient dense, which means there's lots of nutrients in them per serving. And one of these is protein. Many of us are not getting enough protein. Protein is very important in our bodies. It helps us to build lean muscle. It's helping to control caloric intake while providing lots of nutrients. It's good for brain chemistry and also good for immune function, which I talked about earlier. Now, without adequate protein, we're going to lose muscle mass. And did you know that between the ages of 25 and 70, that we lose about 40% of our muscle mass, and at the same time, we're gaining about 100% more fat. So this definitely is not good for our long-term health. So here's the good news. I know I've given you some bad news, but here is the good news. Studies indicate that a healthy dose of high-grade absorbable protein will strengthen your immune system by as much as 500%. So, at a time when immune systems are having difficulties, getting a high-quality protein is very important. Now, organic whey protein powders are very nutrient dense, and there's also a great source of high-quality nutrition. Now, you're going to find lots of them available, but what you want to look for is an organic whey. And the reason for this is, again, something what I've talked about earlier, because organic whey is sourced from cows that are not getting the hormones, antibiotics, and steroids. They're also grazing in grass, which is what cows should be doing, not getting some other type of feed. And they're in these pastures that are then not having any of the pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, etc. So the organic way is really very important, because you can find a lot of whey powders that are non-organic, and what they've even found in some of these are heavy metals, things like arsenic, lead among them. So you want to choose organic foods as much as your budget allows, nutrient-dense foods. Because eating these nutrient-dense foods really help to combat this widespread nutritional deficiencies, which have become commonplace now in our country. So you want to do your due diligence, you want to read labels, you really want to evaluate that shopping list, and above all, choose wisely.